Here at Paddy Power, we're the home of the Money Back Special, with some incredible offers every single week. Check out the website or app today. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome along to the GAA Postcast in association with Paddy Power. I'm David Jennings from the Racing Post, and I'm joined by Damien Fitzgerald from our sponsors, Paddy Power, and the man who did this last week. Meath v Kerry, Kerry -7, 10-11, Kerry over 23.5 points, 11-10. Dublin v Tyrone, Dublin -4, 10-11, under 37.5 points, 5-6. Mayo v Donegal, Mayo to win, 13-8, Mayo +1, 6-5, under 38.5 points, 5-6. Cillian O'Connor, anytime goal scorer, 21-10. And he had almost a full house, only for my beloved Roscommon did him in Cork v Roscommon, but he did have over 39.5 points in Cork v Roscommon. Yes, you'll be pleased to hear that Paddy O'Rourke is back, and he is in red hot form as we preview this weekend's All-Ireland football semi-finals. But before we get on to the action, let's have our 3 quickfire questions, and the first 3 are for you, Paddy O'Rourke. Let's cut to the chase, Paddy. If the All-Star Awards were tonight, who would your 1 to 15 be? Okay, All-Star Awards are tonight. You're on your own. You're the judging panel. Give me your 1 to 15. Number 1.
Right. Oh, okay, number 1 is Patton from Donegal.
Oh, Cluxton is left out in the cold again. Okay, number 2.
James Lockery from Cork.
Yeah, good year. Number 3.
Conor McGill from Meath.
Oh, bit of Meath bias there. Okay, number 4.
Tom O'Sullivan from Kerry.
Yeah, can't argue with that. 5.
Jack McCaffrey, Dublin.
Okay, number 6.
Donald Keoghan, Meath.
Oh, number 7.
Ryan McHugh, Donegal.
Yeah, she win. 8.
David Moore and Kerry.
9.
Aidan O'Shea, Mayo.
No Brian Fenton. 10.
Matty Donnelly, Tyrone.
11.
Michael Murphy, Donegal.
12.
Stephen O'Brien, Kerry.
Yeah, can't argue with that really. 13.
Conor Cox, Roscommon.
Yeah. 14.
Paul Mannion, Dublin.
And 15.
Brian Hurley from Cork.
No Paul Mannion.
No, Mannion's full forward.
Oh, no, you, Conor Callum, full forward.
No, I did a late switch. I talked to my judging panel there earlier this morning, and we gave Conor Callaghan the bullet.
All right, okay. Well, Damien, what do you make of that? Just an overall review.
Yeah, a couple of Meath players which probably won't be there at the final, but yeah, no, I think it was a good mix, and there was a good mix of players. I'd say like there'll probably at the end of the day there'll probably be a few more players that are going to play this weekend, but I think McShane was probably the one that was left out that I would have thought would be in it, all right. Yeah,
but you have to remember, Damien, when you're walking down the street in Navan or Screen or into Swans, you're meeting a lot of Meath people, and you just have to keep them on side. Like.
That's it.
Okay, question number 2 for Paddy O'Rourke. If Mayo were a horse, who would they be?
If Mayo were a horse, I'd say probably off the top of the head, Too Darn Hot from this year. Came into the season full of promise. Kind of people were talking about the year after winning the league. He was been talked up coming into the Guineas. Fluffed his lines, didn't tog out in the Guineas. They fluffed their lines down in the West against Roscommon. As the year went on, they've kind of rebuilt their season, and then ultimately it all came to a sudden halt, which will happen this weekend.
Okay, that's interesting. That is quite good analysis. I'm very impressed with your answer to that question, I have to say. Yeah, Too Darn Hot, Mayo. I like it. Okay, and your third and final question. What team who are out of the championship already caught your eye in 2019 and could be a force to be reckoned with in 2020? So we want a team that next year punters should latch onto.
Is this to win the All-Ireland or just have made progress?
Yeah, a team that could reach the Super 8s next year. A team that, that people are not seeing as the top 4 or possibly top 8, but just could make progress.
I'd say the obvious one would be Cork, and what they've done. Obviously, they've turned around their season since April, and I think that the big thing now for them is to finish in the top 2 in Division 3, get back up to Division 2. They ran Kerry very close in a Munster final. they were the team that everybody wanted to play like in the Super 8s. I know they went down to Roscommon at the weekend in a nothing match, but the type of football that they tried to implement, and they're kind of building something there, and they're under 20s after winning the All-Ireland as well. I think there could be a few of them blooded in the league next year. So I think it's positive steps for Cork football.
And that's a good answer, because we've got a lot of Cork listeners, so they'll be happy. They'll keep tuned in. Okay, your 3 quickfire questions, Damien Fitzgerald. Number 1 is the usual one. How was last weekend from a Paddy Power perspective, and what was your worst result?
It was a pretty even weekend from our perspective. I suppose it was a difficult enough week with kind of a lot of dead rubbers and kind of teams changing, and kind of handicaps were a bit all over the place in some of the games. So yeah, if you take like the Kerry and Dublin game, the Kerry game landed on 8. If it had landed on 7, it would have been a good result. If it landed on 9, it would have been a really poor result. Similar with the Dublin game landing on 6. If it landed on 5, it would have been a good result. Landed on 7, it would have been a very poor result. So it was kind of just an even week. We lost a bit on Mayo, but nothing really that major, and certainly nothing compared to what we lose if they win this week.
Oh, we'll get to that later in the show. Question number 2. What was the biggest bet struck with Paddy Power last weekend, and who was it on?
Yeah, the biggest bet last weekend, and I think it's the biggest bet of the year so far, was 50 grand on Kerry at 1-10, just before the start of the match. So
that was definitely, I would say, was that bet struck in Meath? No.
No, it wasn't struck in Meath. But
50,000 on Kerry at 1-10, and didn't. I suppose at half time it was tight enough, but didn't really have too many worries.
Yeah, you'd have been a bit nervous maybe at half time, but won pretty easily in the end. So yeah.
Yeah, and they had the wind in the second half as well. Okay, question number 3. If the Hurling All-Stars were picked tonight, your job is the same as Paddy's. Give me the 1-15 Hurling All-Stars ahead of the All-Ireland final. Right now, Hurling All-Stars tonight. You're the panel. What's the 1-15? Number 1.
Number 1, I'm going to go a little bit left field here. Enda Rowland.
Jesus Christ, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I don't think any of the other goalies have stood out, and I think Laois maybe deserved an All-Star, and he was very, very good for them through the Joe McDonagh and in the Dublin game. So really, I don't think any of the other goalies have stood out, like Murphy and Hogan.
What price is this fella?
He's 6-1.
All right, so he's not okay. Yeah. So it's an outside chance, right?
Yeah.
Excuse my ignorance there, but I didn't want to say who does he play for.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said he did well for Laois. Okay, number 2.
Sean Finn from Limerick.
3.
Ronan Maher.
4.
Cathal Barrett.
Okay, 5.
Brendan Maher.
6.
Pádraig Walsh.
7.
Paddy Deegan.
Oh, okay. 8.
Noel McGrath.
9.
Dee O'Keefe.
Yeah, like that midfield. 10.
Lee Chin.
11.
TJ Reid.
12.
Adrian Mullen.
Yeah, what a year he's had. 13.
Patrick Horgan.
Yeah, can't argue there. 14.
Seamus Callanan.
And 15.
Colin Fennelly.
Now, out of all those 15, okay, which is the one that's the best value to get an All-Star? I know we talked about the goalkeeper, who I've forgotten his name already. That tells you how much I know him. Enda Rowland. Come on, Enda. Out of all the 15 that you picked, who's the best value apart from the goalkeeper?
I think Adrian Mullen is probably pretty good value. He's just a little bit odds against at 5-4.
What? Is he not an absolute certainty, no?
I think he's not, because if Tip win, you might see him not getting an All-Star. He might, if John O'Dwyer and John McGrath were very good in the final, they might get All-Stars instead of him. But I think at the moment he probably looks like he's good, and he'll probably get Young Hurler of the Year as well. So sometimes when you get Young Hurler of the Year, they kind of leave you out of the All-Stars. But I think
you're already getting one award. You don't need another one, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, his club
is Dermot O'Keefe, lads.
Dermot O'Keefe is 4-7.
Oh, that could my 50 grand from last week could be rolling onto that.
No, you're only getting 5, Paddy. It was 1-10.
Yeah, but it'd be 55, wouldn't it? It'd be a 50 grand double.
Yeah, that's a good point. You get your money back. You get your money back as well. Okay, so there you go. That's our football and hurling all-stars according to the Racing Post Postcast. So it's time to get stuck into this weekend's action, and I cannot wait. Oh yes, it's Saturday evening. It's 5 o'clock. It's Crow Park. It's live on RTE and Sky Sports. It is the latest instalment of the Dublin Mayo saga. Damien Fitzgerald, can we get some Paddy Power prices and handicaps?
Yeah, Dublin are 1-5, 11-1 to draw, 5-1 Mayo, Dublin -5 is 10 to 11. 11 to 1 the handicap draw, and Mayo +5 is evens.
Okay, lads, surely every single tiny little piece of logic tells us that there's only going to be one winner here, and it's going to be Dublin, and they're going to win easily, and they're going to beat the 5-point handicap, and we're going to be scratching our heads going, how on earth did we all not back Dublin to beat the 5-point handicap? So why should the whole of Ireland not be getting on this Dublin handicap? They've beaten the handicap in every game so far. Surely they're going to do it again.
I think they should be renamed from the Dublin football team to just the cash machine, because I think this weekend is just going to be like the handicap every other game that they play. I'm with you on that one. I can't see any other outcome than Dublin winning and Dublin beating the handicap. I think the players themselves have built up a bit of I wouldn't say a hatred, but the rivalry that has been built up over the last decade against Mayo, it's something that will drive these lads on. And I think -5 at 10 to 11, -6 is probably in around even money. I just can't see that being beaten.
Yeah, but sure, I agree, I do, but I just can't bring myself to tip it, because we go back to the Mayo Donegal match. I know you fancied Mayo to beat Donegal, but like you were saying, Donegal were in better form and Mayo up to performance. They were brutal against Meath for 55 minutes, and they were absolutely atrocious against Kerry. And yet we're going into this game and we're saying, oh God, no, it's Mayo. This is going to be so tight. There was only a point between them at the most on the last couple of occasions they've met in the championship. So can we not just throw all the logic out of the window for this game, Paddy?
I think we can, yeah. They'll huff and they'll puff all they want, but I know they put in a strong last 15 against Donegal, and they put in a strong last 15 against Meath, but I think they're coming up against a complete different animal this weekend, and if they play to their ability for 55 minutes, I just don't think they'll have the energy and the scoring power coming off the bench to finish out the game, whereas Dublin gave 15 lads nearly game time last weekend, lads who now are looking at themselves as possible, team players trying to break into the squad. If they get a chance, they're going to put their hand up, So, yeah, I just see this as being the end of the road for Mayo. Now, the fairy tale could continue, but I just can't see it happen.
And what do you think when you read Tony McEntee, the Examiner, basically saying that Mayo are going to win? And there's a lot of kind of form students that are really fancy Mayo to potentially cause an upset. Do you just laugh at this?
I think it's just people are buying into the fairy tale of the underdog, and people, let's be honest, as a Meath man, you're a Meath man, everybody wants to see Dublin stopped for the 5 in a row. I think we still would be able to overlook that they're after winning 4 in a row because we get great slagging out of slagging them for not winning 5, but I think this is Jim Gavin has set out his stall early in the season. He didn't focus on the league. He gave lads extra time off to prepare to hit the ground running for midsummer, even throughout the championship, early part of the Leinster Championship. The Leinster Championship means nothing to those players anymore. You see them in years gone by, they would have celebrated games, they would have gone out after games. Now they're staying in the night of a game so that they can get up on a Monday and go golfing. This is the type of mentality now in the squad. They're thinking about the 5 in a row, and that's it. End of. Nothing else matters. And Mayo are just a name, an object that are in their way this weekend, and I think they're going to steamroll them.
Nothing wrong with golf on a Monday either, let me tell you, lads. Damien Fitzgerald, right? From a Mayo perspective, is there any way that Mayo can hurt this Dublin team? And can we get some likely matchups? It's the thing that Mayo pride themselves on. We've seen Paddy Durkin and Ryan McHugh was exceptional. They do get their matchups right. What are the likely matchups to be, and what areas do you see Mayo actually hurting Dublin?
Well, the one place I think Mayo might have an advantage over Dublin is kind of around midfield. I thought Dublin struggled for a while against both Cork and Meath around midfield. Not even so much the midfielders themselves as just picking up breaks. I thought they were pretty slow to break, and kind of Cork and Meath got on a lot of balls. So I think Mayo, if they do kind of win midfield and get more possession to win, they'll need to do that. In terms of matchups, I assume that after his good job on Ryan McHugh last week, that Paddy Durkin will be asked to do the same on Jack McCaffrey, which if he can do that, and if he can take Jack McCaffrey out of the game, I think that's a big help against Dublin. And I suppose the other player that they'll be really focusing on is Brian Fenton. And I could see Matthew Ryan maybe coming in and picking him up and kind of running him around the place a bit and putting Fenton under a bit of pressure defensively as well as just marking him. So I do think Mayo have the players around midfield to cause Dublin a few troubles, and it's one place I don't know if Dublin are as strong as they are.
Well, what they could do is, and I think they'll probably start. I think they'll start Ruan. I think they'll start Seamus O'Shea. I think they'll play Aidan O'Shea centre forward, and I think they'll use that kind of triangle as their midfield battle zone to win all the dirty ball. I think personally, because I just can't see Aidan O'Shea sticking with Brian Fenton. Can you?
No, I think that's the most likely thing. I also wouldn't be surprised if Aidan O'Shea ended up full forward for parts of the match. I'm not saying he's going to be standing there for the whole day, but I think they might throw him in there for 5 minutes here and there and try and put a bit of pressure on the Dublin full back line.
It is if I'm Michael Fitzsimons or Johnny Cooper or Stephen Cluxton, the last thing you want to see is Aidan O'Shea coming in and hovering around the square and then moving back out and in and out and in and out. Surely, James Horn is saying to himself this week, right, lads, we seen Tyrone last week. I know Rory O'Carroll was a bit raw, and as obviously there's going to be different personnel in there this week, but surely he will see that game and see, right, height in the Dublin full backline is just not there. That is one area we can exploit. And Aidan, last 10 minutes of the first half, halfway through the second half, you're in there. It has to happen, doesn't it?
I think it has to happen, yeah. In terms of just getting goals, I think that's probably their best route. Even in the semi-final last year, I know Dublin won very easily, but Damien Comer was causing havoc in there for a while. I just don't think they have the players to mark that kind of physical full forward. So that's one place I do think Mayo will think they might be able to get a bit of an advantage just throwing Aidan O'Shea in there for a while.
And you were talking, probably Lee Keegan will probably mark Kieran Kilkenny, I'd imagine.
So.
Yeah, and you've got Harrison will probably mark Paul Mannion, will he?
Harrison, maybe Barrett on Mannion, Harrison on Conor Callaghan. Maybe it's kind of depends where they play too, I suppose. But I do think Mayo will be confident enough in their matchups. They've all worked before. These are very similar teams here to what played in the last All-Ireland final between them. I think about 12 or 13 of both sides from that day is going to start again. So the matchups have worked before. So I do think that will give Mayo a bit of confidence.
And Paddy, Paddy is gearing up now for bet of the century territory here in Dublin to beat the handicap. So let's try and have a bit of perspective here. Are you giving Mayo any chance whatsoever?
I've given them a chance. As I was saying, 2 years ago, Dublin won by a point. It is very similar teams. The price
point now. Was a comfortable point. As minimum margin wins goes, you can't get more comfortable.
It was a comfortable point, but it's still only a point. I do think I'm not sure I fancy Mayo to win, but I do fancy to keep them close. I think over the last few years, Dublin have had trouble with Mayo, and there is something in the way Mayo play in the matchups they have and in their kind of tackling around midfield that does make Dublin more vulnerable to them than a lot of other teams. So I'd be on the Mayo +5 side. I'm not sure. I don't think I'd be backing them to win. I think Dublin will just get out of there. I think the extra quality they have in the forwards probably just helps them to win. Dublin 1 to 3 points is 7-2, and that'd be kind of my thinking of a good bet.
Okay, when you're sitting down in the GAA department in Power Tower to discuss the handicap, what way did the discussion go for this game? If put it this way, if the same team other than Mayo have done what Mayo have done, the handicap would probably be 7 or 8, wouldn't it? It's just the fact that it's Mayo, it makes it 5.
That's probably true. If you were looking at another team with their level of form, but Mayo have shown time and again that they can just come up with performances out of nowhere, like they did last week, and that they do know how to play against this Dublin team. So obviously other teams it would be +7, but I think you have to believe in Mayo to a certain extent, even if you don't believe they're going to win. And
tell me, a lot of punters do believe they're going to win. How bad now at the moment is this losing your job territory if Mayo win the All-Ireland for you this year? Is this as bad a GAA result of all time if Mayo win the All-Ireland?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be our worst GAA result of all time if Mayo win.
Give me some figures here. Give me some figures. What are you going to lose 1 million more?
Between the match on Saturday and the All-Ireland and the All-Ireland final, I would assume we'd lay them there as well. I'd say you'd be up around 2 million maybe.
Oh, yes. I love it. You gotta love Mayo fans. They just absolutely have ultimate faith in their team. Right, but we want to know who's going to win this weekend. And Paddy, those Mayo fans who have backed their side to win the All-Ireland, they're going to be getting the Kleenex out after you give your tips here, I'd imagine. How bad is it going to be for Mayo? Who do you fancy?
Well, I fancy Dublin. Like I made plenty of Mayo people money last weekend, so they can't be all doom and gloom about me. But I think the handicap of -5 is a generous one there at 11 to 10. I think just a shade of odds on.
Is that
I don't
as strong
think
as you've been on any bet this year?
Oh yeah, I suppose the two of us last week when we seen -4 on Dublin v Tyrone before the teams were announced, I think it went to -6 then, but we were on at the -4 and we took that price fairly.
And we were absolutely blessed.
Yeah, but it was never in doubt. I was about to text you when they slapped in that goal, but I think the weather could have a huge factor on it. I don't. If the rain comes and the pitch is slippy, it'll be a defender's dream. The easy ball that Dublin have thrived on over the summer. I think that'll be limited, and I think a bet under 39.5 points at 5 to 6. That's for that to win, you're hoping that both teams can get to 20 points. If one team is going to win, are they going to score 23 points and the other score 17? I don't see it. So I think that's my second biggest one as well. And a couple of maybe just on a goal scoring market, I was looking at Dean Rock anytime is 15 to 8. If you fancy Dublin to win and you want to go Dean Rock to score anytime in a Dublin win, it's 21 to 10. And if you fancy him to score the first goal and Dublin to win on the goal cast market, that's 7 to 1. So there's three. There's the two top ones are my main ones, and then maybe a goal scorer in Dean Rock. I think he's like a clever old fox. He doesn't do any of the hard running or break himself winning ball out in front. But if they attack in around the goals, you always see him palming one to the net. Yeah,
no, definitely. I can see where you're coming from with Dean Rock. Before we come to you, Damien, I have a theory on this match. I spent like hours looking for kind of value in markets here, and I think I just found one that I think is probably too big. And Damien, I want you to make a promise to me that this won't be cut before my tipping column in the Racing Post on Saturday. Is that all right?
Grand, go ahead, David.
I just think one market. It's there's not really logic and there's no real evidence to suggest it, but it's just a theory I have in my head. There's so much at stake in this match, and like it's like Mayo are going to be so up for it, and the fact that they've had so many tight and real big encounters in the last couple of weeks, they're coming in ready, and like they won't need time to adjust to Croke Park or anything like that. And I can see Dublin have become so good at managing games, okay? So we've seen them like in the closing stages of big games, like in the All-Ireland final a couple of years ago, and the last couple of All-Ireland finals, holding on to possession in the closing stages, doing the right things instead of doing rash things. And I can see the first half being helter-skelter and, trying to get the matchups right, and it could take 10 or 15 minutes for that to get right. And Dublin are so good at basically, solving puzzles, so they will get to solve. So if Cillian O'Connor has a great start, they'll be able to nullify him. And the point I'm getting to is I think that the first half will be the highest scoring half, and it's a huge 15 to 8 with Paddy Power. It's usually like in these games you always see like teams that are better than other teams, they pull away towards the latter stages in the second half. But I just don't think in a game like this where the two teams are so well conditioned, I can't see Dublin scoring 10 points in the last 10 minutes or anything like that. I can see them just managing the game, and for that reason I think if the first half starts the way I think it will, I think it'll be a real explosive start. I think we could see a good few more scores in the first half than we're likely to get in the second half, and for that reason I think 15 to 8, the first half to be the highest scoring half with Paddy Power. I think that's a great bet, because I think for a game like this, it should be even money each of two. Damien, does that make any sense whatsoever?
You made a pretty good case there. Like, in fairness,
pretty good.
Pretty good. You made a very good case there. Like, in fairness, it is a long like Dublin games in particular tend to be a lot higher scoring in the second half. Now you might say that's because they're not really competitive a lot of the time, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and we'll see. I leave the price outside anyway for the
Yeah.
next couple.
Of course you will, because nobody will want to back it. So what's your best bet on the coupon, Damien?
Yeah, like I was saying before, I like Dublin by 1 to 3 points at 7-2. I just think Mayo do know how to play against Dublin, and they are going to be able to make this tight. But I think at the end of the day, Dublin's forwards are just better than Mayo, and they'll be able to get over the line. And just at a bit of a bigger price, Brian Howard at 16-1 for man of the match.
Oh, you read my notes. Go on.
Yeah, I think like he's been very, very good this year, but like because they've been putting up big scores, it's obviously been the likes of Conor Callahan and Paul Mannion who've been getting man of the match. I think in a tighter game where there's kind of more around midfield and who's picking up the breaks, I think he'll really stand out, and I think the 16-1's a big price.
Yeah, I think on that team, I think there's two that I was dying to mention, and the first was obviously Howard, who's an unsung hero, and like just with the weekend, the way the weather is going to be, it's not going to be dry anyway. Whatever, if it rains during the game, there's going to be showers, it's going to be slippy ball. It's going to be a dirty type of game around the middle. I think he'll pick up loads of ball. And on that team, I think John Small is a huge price as well. Like, I think for somebody who's kind of one of Dublin's main men, I think this is a game that'll really suit John Small. I think 25-1 for him to get man of the match, a huge price. But I think if you back John Small at 25s and Howard at 16s, I think you get a great run for your money, because I think the game will suit both of them. So that would be my advice. John Small at 25s and Brian Howard at 16s. But it's going to be intriguing. You're going to need to watch it. It's 5 o'clock live on RTE and Sky Sports on Saturday night, Dublin v Mayo. So join us in part 2 after the break, when we'll be previewing the second All-Ireland semi-final between Tyrone and Kerry.
Friends, or maybe more. Earn a 20 quid free bet for every friend you refer to Paddy Power, thanks to our Friends with Benefits programme. Log into your Paddy Power account and share your referral link to get started. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back to the GAA Postcast in association with Paddy Power. I'm David Jennings from the Racing Post, and I'm joined by my football experts, Paddy O'Rourke and Damien Fitzgerald from our sponsors, Paddy Power. So we're going to find out who the second finalist is on Sunday. It's 3:30 at Croke Park, live on RTE and Sky Sports. It is Tyrone v Kerry. Damien Fitzgerald from our sponsors, Paddy Power. Can we get some prices and handicaps?
Yeah, it's 4-5 Kerry, 15-2 to draw, 6-4 Tyrone. Kerry -1 is evens, handicap draw is 8-1, and Tyrone +1 is evens.
Right, I'm going to get the ball rolling here, because I think Tyrone are going to win. I think Tyrone should be favourites. I'm not convinced that this Kerry team are actually any good at all. That's my theory. And on that note, Damien, do Kerry actually deserve to be favourites at all here?
Yeah, I think they have to deserve to be favourites. Like, the performance against Mayo, which is only a few weeks ago now, is probably the best of the year so far, I'd say.
Come on, it's Fitzgerald Stadium. It's it's a nice sunny day in Killarney. It's the first round of the Super 8s. It's Kerry at home. It's Clifford on fire. They were always going to walk that game, were they not? No.
Yeah, like they probably set up for them to play well, but they did put in a great performance, and they really did show that like they do have probably the players that most other counties don't, probably bar Dublin. Like, there's no question about their quality going forward. Maybe at the other end, like obviously there is question marks at the other end, and in particular over their kickouts. Tyrone are kind of difficult to judge. I think they've just been doing what Tyrone doing enough. Like, they weren't that great during the Super 8s. Like, Cork put them under a lot of pressure. Like, Roscommon even could have had goals in the first half. So I don't think Tyrone's form, you can say, is good enough to make them favourites. But yeah, it's going to be a very tight game, and I think either side, you could make a good case for either side.
Paddy, if Shane Walsh, if an 18-year-old Shane Walsh is able to do what he did to Tadhg Morley and the Kerry full back line, like Colin McShane and Matty Donnelly could make hay here, could they?
I think Kerry will give the Tyrone forwards a bit more respect than they did the Meath ones, and I think you were on the terrace, I was on the terrace in Navan on Saturday evening, and by times there, Kerry had just thrown complete caution to the wind. They'd abandoned their half-back line. They were up midfield when Meath did get a chance.
The gap was huge, wasn't it?
It was horrendous, like for an inter-county game, you were thinking like there was 3 acres of space on front of Shane Walsh and Brian McMahon by times in the second half, and that won't happen at the weekend. That you'll definitely see Kerry giving the Tyrone forwards a little bit more respect than they did the Meath ones. Shane Walsh could have easily had a goal. He shaved the crossbar at one of his points, and I think he got through before. I think Dara Campion scored a great point with his left, but in the build up to that, he got through and kind of got jumbled up and lost possession in going for a goal as well. So it could have been a lot worse for the Kerry defence, but I think it was a hiccup and an eye opener for the management team and for the players, and they'll certainly have it sorted for this weekend. It's better to do it in a dead rubber match in Navan rather than doing it in a semi-final and getting dumped out of the championship.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, from watching the game last week, I'm trying to figure out, like, did Kerry basically do an impression of Dublin and Tyrone, what they did in Oma, in that only it wasn't as obvious, okay? So basically you've got Clifford wasn't playing, the team looked rather lethargic at times, and it looked as though for a lot of the time they were going through the motions. And, like, do you think, Paddy, maybe perhaps they just kind of said to themselves, look, we're going to beat Meath, let's just make sure we peak on Sunday week in Croke Park, and let's try and get away without any injuries. Do you think they were thinking ahead at all, or am I just doing me disservice here?
I think absolutely. I think if you'll always get the Kerry folk and the Kerry football chat, and they'll always build up a team, but behind it all, they're thinking long term. They're thinking at a tilt for Sam, and they would have been looking to, they would have been banking on Dublin to come through as table toppers on the other side. They were going to be table toppers on the Meath and Kerry side, so they were looking at playing at Tyrone in a semi-final and looking to peak. You wouldn't be surprised at all with their tactics, that they'll change considerably in the week before they go into Croker on Sunday. So maybe maybe they just didn't show their complete hand. It was like bluffing in poker, that they're trying to pull Tyrone into a false sense of security that they can lurry ball in there in front of the Kerry full back line. But I won't be surprised to see Kerry flooding that area now and seeing what type of a plan B Tyrone come up with.
Yeah, Damien, on this Kerry team, like when you look at Tyrone, and we see that they've gone back to their old system since they were beaten by Donegal, but you look at that Kerry forward line, that's exceptionally good. But there's a David Clifford in there that was bullied a little bit against Donegal. You got Sean O'Shea, was excellent against Meath, but is still very young. Killian Spillane might start, and you kind of go to yourself, this is a very, very young Kerry attack that's been asked to beat a team that's been there, done that. They've played against the Dublin. Their strength, they're strong, they're conditioned. Like Tyrone are built for Sunday. Are this Kerry team, is it just coming a little bit early in their education?
And I don't know, like, you can say they were bullied a little bit against Donegal, but they still put 120 on the board, like, and Clifford did get a couple of very crucial scores in that game. So, like, I think, like, if you let Kerry have the ball, such as the quality they have in their forwards, they are going to score. Like, I think the thing that Tyrone need to do is, like, they can't be passive and just let Kerry get the ball from kickouts. I think they'll need to push up and really contest the kickouts, because that's a place where Kerry have looked in trouble. Like, I think if you let the Kerry have the ball, such as the quality they have, I think they're going to score. So I think you kind of have to try and deny them the ball around midfield, and I think Tyrone will have to try and do that, because I think if Tyrone sit back and just wait for Kerry to come at them, Kerry will be patient and they'll pick their passes and they will eventually score, because they have the players who can score from, like, difficult positions.
Okay, Damien, who's going to win?
It's a very close one. At the prices, I'd probably go Tyrone. I think there's too many question marks around Kerry. Like, I think their backs, I think Cathal McShane, I don't see them having any player who can mark Cathal McShane. I think, as I said, they'll need to push up on the kickouts and kind of deny Kerry the ball. But Kerry, if they can win the kickouts and get the ball into McShane, I think I'd just back them at 6-4.
Okay, I agree, but I have a stronger argument for Tyrone. I think they're further down the line. I think if this game was next year, I'd be all over Kerry. I think if it was the year after, I'd fancy them even more. But I just think, for all that I'm not convinced Tyrone are better than they were this time last year, I just think Kerry could be bullied here. Just I wasn't impressed them last week in Navan at all. Paddy, who do you fancy?
I fancy Kerry. Football wins. It has to win. You can't. I think for an Ireland semi-final, I know Tyrone will go out to try and frustrate them and close them down and blanket defence and all that, but I'm going to err on the side of caution here and go for football. And football at -1, Kerry at even money will be my bet on the coupon so far. Anyway, just looking at it, there's a couple of others. I think Paul Geaney will always create a goal chance for himself. He butchered one in Navan in the first half. I think anytime goal scorer, he's 23-10. Again, I can see this one being a low scoring game. I don't see it being a 120 apiece like the Donegal and Kerry game. I think Tyrone will be happy enough if they got a chance to go in at half time 7 or 8 each, and I think at under 37.5 is a huge runner here in this game. Tyrone don't run up cricket scores, and they definitely don't allow their opposition to run up big scores. So that would be my my banker on that coupon anyway, would be the unders in this match.
And for you, Damien?
I picked out a kind of a strange bet here, maybe. Either team to win by 5 to 9 points is 2-1. I just think the way the game that will be played, I think like everyone is expecting a close game. I think the team that kind of gets ahead and is ahead with 20 minutes to go, if they're a couple of points ahead, I think they might stretch their lead, because like if Kerry are ahead, Tyrone will have to come out and come attacking at them. And if Kerry are ahead, or if Tyrone are ahead, they'll just sit back, soak up pressure and hit Kerry on the counter attack. So I think everyone's expecting a very close game, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit more in it at the end than people think. So either team to win by 5 to 9 points at 2-1.
So to sum up then, Damien, you think one team is going to hammer the other team, but you just don't know who it is.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I can kind of see your point in a roundabout way, but it'll be very, very interesting. Yeah, that's a bet that will certainly give you some hope going into the closing stages. You'll get a good run for your money no matter what. For me, I thought 7-2 Tyrone -3 I thought was a decent enough bit of value, but if you want to play it safe, I think Tyrone at 6-4. As I said already, I just think they're further down the education line than Kerry are. So there we go, folks. All that's left to do now is reveal our best bets of the weekend, and we landed the nap last weekend. Yes, we got the treble up on the Paddy Power website. Damien, was there any interest in the Racing Postcast treble last weekend with Paddy Power?
Yeah, we had a few bets in it alright at 8-1, so 13-2 at 8-1. So yeah, we took a few bets in it alright. We lost a bit.
So loyal listeners got 8-1. The Racing Postcast treble last weekend. So hopefully we can do likewise this weekend. So let's have our team tune.
This will not be beaten.
Sure, there's only one place to start, and that is the man in form. He's like Colin McShane. Paddy O'Rourke, your best bet of the weekend?
Under 37.5 points in Kerry versus Tyrone at 5-6.
Damien Fitzgerald?
Kind of a bit against that, maybe. Both teams to score a goal in Kerry versus Tyrone 5-6.
Oh Lord, what are we going to do here? This is going to be a tough travel to get up, and I'm going to go. I'm going to play it safe and go for Tyrone at 6-4. So I don't know how we're going to make a treble out of that one, Damien.
I'll see what I can do. I might put up 2 doubles maybe instead.
Okay. Well, keep an eye on the Paddy Power website, because you'll see some enhancements on our 3 bets anyway for the weekend. And don't forget, we did get our treble up last weekend. So that's it for this week's show, folks. My thanks to Paddy O'Rourke, to Damien Fitzgerald from our sponsors, Paddy Power. I've been David Jennings from the Racing Post, and you got to join us next week. We're going to be out early. It is the Hurling Final Postcast. We're going to have Aidan Taggy Fogarty. We're going to have Damien Fitzgerald. And what a game we have in store between Tipperary and Kilkenny. And the week after, we have a little bit of a break, and then we'll have the All-Ireland football final. So enjoy this weekend's action, and thanks for listening.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet the next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.